Hello, welcome to episode 182 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, 1943's
I Walk with the Zombie.
The 1940s version of a zombie anyway. It would be another couple of decades before George A. Romero, rest in peace, would reinvent what we now know to be the zombie kind of character, although it still meant very much someone who is of the living dead. The story is set on a small Caribbean island called St. Sebastian, and we follow a Canadian nurse called Betsy Connell, who has been hired by a sugar plantation owner called Paul Holland to care for his wife Jessica, who is very much in a catatonic state. She's practically a vegetable. She can walk around and basically follow instructions, but she doesn't say anything, and for all intents and purposes is very zombie-like. And so Betsy is quite concerned with the state of Jessica, of Mrs. Holland, but she starts to kind of fall for Paul. Also on the island we have Paul's half-brother Wesley Rand and their mother Mrs. Rand, and also the other inhabitants of the island who are native to the Caribbean. And that's where the kind of superstition plays into it, and the practicing of voodoo and island myths and legends and things like that. And the film was directed by Jacques Tourneur, who was the French director who directed Cat People the year before this, which we talked about last year in the Epic Film Challenge 2. And again produced by Val Lewton, who was a legendary kind of low-budget horror film producer. So this is very much a follow-up to Cat People in a lot of ways. The next one that they did, as far as I'm aware, certainly very close to Cat People. And just like Cat People, I thought this was really good. I really enjoyed it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the tone. I loved the lighting. The lighting was stunning. And following this character, Betsy Connell, as she kind of navigates through the Holland/Rand family and tries to kind of see what she can do for this, you know, again, catatonic Jessica. And I love the actress who played Jessica, by the way, because maybe not so much in the performance, because she really is just blank-faced for the majority of the movie, but the casting of the physical look of the actor I thought was well done, because she very much embodied this kind of almost doll-like perfect beauty, you know, and it made it all the more tragic that a woman so beautiful would be, for all intents and purposes, living but dead, and kind of dead on her feet, which was an interesting story to follow when Betsy falls in love with Jessica's husband, and Jessica's husband kind of falls in love with her as well. So you have this weird love triangle with a person who isn't really aware of anything. It's a short film, an hour and 9 minutes, but it felt like it packed a lot of story in there. I felt like in the first 20 minutes of the film, when Betsy first meets the mother of the two brothers on the island, Mrs. Rand, who was the actress who played her was great, by the way. I really liked her character in the film a lot. When she first meets Mrs. Rand, she's like, "Oh, they've been telling me all about you. You've been so kind to Jessica." And I'm thinking, hang on, the way that they've kind of presented this so far, it feels like Betsy has only been on the island for like a couple of days. So I can only assume that it's kind of implied that she's been there for a longer stretch than what is visibly apparent. We have a narration at the beginning of the film from Betsy saying, "I walked with a zombie once." And she basically talks about when she first arrived on the island, but after that we basically go to, you know, real time, and we don't get any more narration to say, oh, weeks had passed and so on. But they did a better job throughout the next two acts of the film, conveying the sense of time that had passed, and a familiarity between the characters that conveys that they had been in each other's presence for longer than what is shown scene by scene. So I liked that it picked up a bit more in terms of the conveying again the sense of time, which I feel like I've hammered home too much on. But it was something that really caught me off guard in the first 20 minutes. I was thinking, well, how long has she actually been there, you know? I liked where the film ended up going. I thought that the conclusion was quite satisfying, and the handful of reveals throughout the last act of the film that kind of, you know, lead to where the ending goes, I thought were done well. I thought the performances were good. Again, the lighting was great. I love the feel of those old movies from the 30s and 40s, especially where a film is shot on stage, and, you know, it's supposed to be set in this Caribbean island, but it's anything but. It's all done on stage, except for I can think of one scene towards the end where they actually probably would have had to have gone to a beach to film. But I don't really believe any less in the location, because they did such a wonderful job with the production design. And yeah, you can see that it's painted palm trees on a wall in the background, but there's something so charming about it. And when everything else is working towards selling that location, it kind of just, those kind of fake backdrops kind of blend away. And especially in a film like this, it's in black and white, and maybe, you know, it's not really in focus so much. It really has a charm to it that I find quite lovable in a way. There's just something about it. I just think of the opening of Wizard of Oz, for example. You know, I love that kind of. It's an artifice, but it feels kind of authentic at the same time. I don't know. It's a weird thing. The sound design works really well in the film too. When Betsy takes Jessica to go and see some of these voodoo practitioners and kind of the hocus pocus on the other side of the island, they go through these fields of very long grass, and the sound design with the wind coming in was perfectly done. Really built up, drummed up this sense of tension and also atmosphere. And I love the little beat where they're trying to find their way to wherever this place is, and there's a stick with an animal's skull on it, and the wind is whistling through the eye holes and creating this weird kind of whistling. I just love that section of the film. Was really well done. Overall, though, it wasn't fantastic, you know. Nothing about it really went to that next level in terms of the acting was great, or sometimes things can be really good all across the board, and that doesn't really add up to make the overall package great, if that makes sense. You need to have something that really pushes it to that next level to make it a film you should see before you die. And I just thought that the story was really good, but it was more of a kind of afternoon movie. You know, more like Strange Tales, you know, maybe like an episode of an anthology TV show, something like that. The romance wasn't really that believable. It wasn't really that, you know, I'm rooting for these two to get together. I didn't really feel why they fell in love with each other, other than the fact that it was just a new member of the opposite sex that they're spending a lot of time around, you know. So yeah, there's weaknesses to it, but I thought it was really, really good. So is it a film you should see before you die? I don't think so. I think Cat People was a bit more of a better film, though I might prefer this one just from an enjoyability sense. I don't know. I really liked the setting of the movie a lot. So I love the scene as well where Betsy is outside this bar at night, and there was a kind of a band singing in the street, and it's kind of this song about the brothers' family history, and they kind of get them to stop it. You know, don't sing about that. And then when he's kind of Wesley is kind of passed out at the table, the guy with the guitar kind of comes out of the darkness. He's playing the song again, and he's singing along, and it's very eerie, and the effect of the ocean in the background was. Oh, I love that scene. So yeah, really, really enjoyed it. It's a film you should see before you die. The more I think about it, I'm leaning towards it maybe, but no, it's you could probably go without it, but it's really good, and you probably should check it out if that makes sense. It's probably one of the hardest ones to say no to, because I just feel like it just about misses the mark to say yes to. So I'm going to say no. But it was really good. And yeah, that's it. I Walked with a Zombie. Decent stuff. Very enjoyable in certain parts. But as a whole, perhaps not a great film. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.